Hey everyone, welcome back to Civil Score. So wonderful to have you here. Today we are doing something a little different from our polity series. We are going into a personality that every UPSC aspirant must know thoroughly because he keeps coming up across prelims, mains, and even essay papers. We are talking about Bal Gangadhar Tilak, revered as Lokmanya, the man who gave us one of the most electrifying slogans in Indian history: Swaraj is my birthright and I shall have it. The British themselves call him the father of Indian unrest, which honestly tells you everything about how seriously they took him. So let us get into who he was, what he did, and why he matters so much for your exam. Let us go. Let us start with the basics of his profile. Bal Gangadhar Tilak was born on July 23, 1856 in Ratnagiri, Maharashtra. He passed away on August 1, 1920 in Mumbai. He did his BA and LLB from Deccan College, Pune. So he was highly educated, which is important context because it shaped the kind of intellectual force he became. Now, what made Tilak exceptional was that he was not just one thing, he was simultaneously four things at once. As a nationalist, he championed the assertive phase of the independence movement, pushing it far beyond polite petitions. As a journalist, he literally weaponized the printing press against colonial rule. As a freedom fighter, he took political discourse from drawing rooms into the streets and made it a mass movement. And as a scholar, he had deep expertise in history, religion, and astronomy, which gave him enormous credibility with ordinary Indians. Now, this is where it gets really interesting from a UPSC point of view. Tilak had a very clear strategy for how to take on the British, and it worked on three fronts simultaneously. The first tool was Indian run education. He co founded the Deccan Education Society and Fergusson College in Pune. His idea was simple but radical. As long as Indians were being educated through a colonial framework, their minds would remain colonized. He wanted to free Indian minds first. The second tool was grassroots journalism. He founded two newspapers, Kesari in Marathi and the Mehrata in English. Kesari in particular became enormously popular because it reached ordinary Marathi-speaking people in their own language. He used these newspapers to educate, mobilize, and fire up public sentiment against British rule. Remember both names for prelims, Kesari and the Mehrata. The third tool was cultural nationalism. In 1893, he revived the Ganesh Utsav, the public celebration of Ganesh Chaturthi, as a mass gathering event. He also established Shivaji Jayanti as a public celebration. The genius here was that these were cultural and religious gatherings which the British could not easily ban, but they served as powerful platforms for building Hindu unity and nationalist consciousness. Culture as a tool of politics. Tilak was ahead of his time. This slide is extremely important for both prelims and mains. By the early 1900s, the Indian National Congress was deeply divided between two camps. On one side were the moderates. Their approach was prayer and petition, working within the system, requesting reforms from the British, and believing that gradual change was the right path. On the other side were the extremists, led by the famous Lal Bal Pal trio. Lal was Lala Lajpat Rai, Bal was Bal Gangadhar Tilak, and Pal was Bipin Chandra Pal. Their approach was direct action. Their stance was assertive nationalism and an absolute, unapologetic demand for Swaraj, not a favor from the British, but a birthright to be taken. This ideological clash came to a head at the Surat session of the Indian National Congress in 1907, which resulted in a formal split between the two factions. Now, the British responded to Tilak's defiance the only way they knew how, by locking him up. He was jailed in 1897 for writings that the British said incited resistance. He was jailed again in 1908 for journalistic work that was sparking rebellion. Both years are direct exam facts, 1897 and 1908. The key word to remember is sedition, which is what the British charged him with. He paid the price of his dissent with imprisonment, but his voice only grew louder each time. The final slide brings us to Tilak's enduring legacy, and it has two parts: his political climax and his intellectual legacy. On the political side, the crowning moment of his later life was the 1916 Home Rule movement. He collaborated with Annie Besant, another remarkable nationalist, to launch the Home Rule League. The demand was specific: self-governance for India within the British Empire. This was a formally organized, structured demand, and it built enormous political momentum across the country. On the intellectual side, Tilak left behind three major works that are worth knowing. Gita Rahasya was his interpretation of the Bhagavad Gita, written during his imprisonment in Mandalay. Arctic Home in the Vedas was a scholarly work arguing that the origins of the Vedic Aryans lay in the Arctic region, very original for its time. And Orion was a work on the antiquity of the Vedas. These three titles, Gita Rahasya, Arctic Home in the Vedas, and Orion, are clean prelims facts. Know them. Now, on August 1, 1920, Tilak passed away in Mumbai. His death marked the end of an era. But here is the lasting significance. His ideals directly catalyzed what came next. The non-cooperation movement and the civil disobedience movement, both led by Gandhi, were in many ways built on the foundation that Tilak had laid. He passed the baton and the movement kept running. And that is a wrap on Lokmanya Tilak, a man who was nationalist, journalist, scholar, and freedom fighter all at once. Make sure you have his dates, his newspapers, his books, the Surat Split, the Lal Bal Pal Trio, and the Home Rule movement all locked in your memory. These are high-yield points and they come up more often than you would think. All the best, everyone. Keep going strong, and I will see you in the next class. Take care.